This video is a complete guide to relying on cash savings for UK spouse and partner visas in 2026. We will discuss the requirements, required documentation, and calculation. As an immigration advice authority-regulated UK immigration law firm that has helped more than 5,000 partners obtain their UK partner visas, we are exceptionally well placed to discuss this. This video will be relevant for applications where the sponsor does not receive one of these permitted benefits. As we discussed in our detailed UK spouse visa requirements video, if the sponsor does receive one of these, the adequate maintenance test applies, which is a much lower standard that must instead be met. If the sponsor does receive one of these, we have a detailed step-by-step guide on the adequate maintenance test on our website, www.migrate.org.uk. There are three different types of cash savings applications. 1. Cash savings that have been held for at least 6 months when the application is submitted. 2. Cash savings that have been held for less than 6 months but are from a property sale within the past 6 months. And 3. Cash savings that have been held for less than 6 months but are from liquidating or moving investments, stocks, shares, bonds or trust funds within the past 6 months. We'll discuss each of these in turn. We will begin by discussing the general cash savings requirements that apply to all types of cash savings applications. In every case, the cash savings must be held in the applicant's personal bank or savings account, the sponsor's personal bank or savings account, or a joint bank or savings account shared by both the applicant and sponsor. So yes, applicants can include their own cash savings if the requirements are met. It's also worth noting here that the account should not be jointly held by anyone else, like an applicant or sponsor and a parent. Cash savings don't need to be held in British pounds. Cash savings held in a foreign currency is converted using the oanda.com closing spot exchange rate on the application date. This is the case unless 1. You're relying on Iranian rials, which will be converted into pounds sterling using the monthly FCDO consular exchange rate applicable on the date of application, or 2. You're relying on a currency that does not appear on oanda.com. This will be converted using the monthly FCDO consular exchange rate on the date of application. The cash savings can be held in a bank or savings account that is either a current, deposit or investment account. But please note that particular care needs to be taken where the funds are held in a brokerage account in which stockbrokers use funds to purchase shares for the account holder, or betting accounts held with a bookmaker or gambling operator, as these are specifically mentioned in the guidance as accounts which do not meet the criteria of being a bank or savings account. The cash savings must be immediately withdrawable, either with or without penalty. This means that the money locked in a fixed deposit account cannot typically count unless moved to a personal bank or savings account where the funds are immediately withdrawable. Such a situation is covered by the provision in the immigration rules that we will discuss shortly. Cash savings must come from a legal source. You must declare where they came from, and the Home Office usually accepts your statement without deep investigation. The account must be with a bank or institution regulated in its country. In the UK, that's the FCA or PRA. You must provide regular bank or savings statements for your cash savings. They should show account holder names, an identifiable account number, and the bank or institution's name. Regular is not defined, but statements should be clear and complete. Please do not redact or blank out certain sections of your statements. Finally, the immigration rules states that savings must be held in cash. On this point, stocks and shares are not cash, bonds are not cash, and equity in a house is not cash. However, there are specific provisions which permit including these if sold or liquidated before applying, and we will cover these specific provisions shortly. There are 2 caveats here. Despite not being catered for in the immigration rules, the Home Office guidance states, in the UK, a stocks and shares individual savings account does meet the definition of a savings account, and the funds can be considered as cash savings if all of the requirements here are met. Whilst it's arguably not compliant with the immigration rules, which states that savings must be in cash, we've relied on unliquidated stocks and shares within UK stocks and shares ISAs countless times without issue. In fact, I will likely rely on this to meet the financial requirement when I submit my partner's application in the very near future. I'm considering making a video documenting that process if I think that viewers will find it helpful. We do not see Home Office caseworkers reliably treat other types of investment accounts as favourably. Therefore, if you rely on unliquidated stocks and shares in an account which is not a UK stocks and shares ISA, there is a substantial chance of the application being refused. How about NS&I premium bonds? We've not seen our clients facing any issues relying on these premium bonds without liquidating them. But we have heard from others that the Home Office caseworker took issue with it, so if you want to rely on the NS&I premium bonds but want to own the side of caution, you may consider liquidating them and then transferring the cash funds into a personal account before applying. To calculate cash savings held for 6 months before applying, follow the following steps. Step 1. Find the lowest total balance during the 6 months before applying. If the savings are in one account, just check the statements for the lowest figure. If spread across accounts, you can use an Excel sheet to track daily balances and spot the lowest combined total. This helps you confirm that you meet the required amount of cash savings and makes it easier for the Home Office caseworker to review. Most banks let you download Excel statements, saving time and avoiding manual entry. If the cash funds are not in British pounds, you should list the relevant conversion figure as we discussed earlier in this video. Step 2. Subtract £16,000 from the lowest balance found in Step 1. And then finally, Step 3. Divide this number by 2.5, assuming you're applying for a spouse or partner visa and not indefinite leave to remain, where this step is not relevant. The result is the cash savings gross annual income equivalent figure you can count towards the financial requirement. Here is a table showing cash savings and their gross annual income equivalents. The required documentation to evidence cash savings is relatively minimal, although strict document-specific requirements do apply. For cash savings applications where the cash savings relied on has been held for 6 months or longer when the application is submitted, it is mandatory to provide personal bank or savings statements showing at least the level of cash savings relied on in the application has been held in an account or accounts in the name of the applicant, sponsor, or the applicant and sponsor jointly throughout the period of at least 6 months prior to the date of the online application submission. In addition to providing bank statements, it is mandatory for the person or persons holding the cash savings to provide a declaration regarding the source or sources of the cash savings. The second type is cash savings held for less than 6 months, but coming from a property sale within the past 6 months. For property sale savings held for less than 6 months, the standard 6-month period adjusts. You shorten the 6-month period by the time before the sale proceeds hit your account. So, for example, if the sale money arrives 2 months before applying, you only need to show 2 months worth of statements, not 6, if you evidence the application accordingly. If the property was co-owned by someone other than the applicant or sponsor, only the share belonging to the applicant, sponsor, or both counts. The third party's portion cannot be included. Cash savings from a property sale require more supporting documents than just bank statements and a savings declaration. You will also be required to provide documents which show 1. The property, or relevant share of the property, was owned by the applicant, sponsor, or applicant and sponsor jointly at the beginning of the period of 6 months before submitting the application and the date of sale. On this point, if the property was owned by the sponsor's or applicant's limited company, this cannot be included as the limited company is considered to be a separate legal entity. 2. The applicant and or sponsor's shares if ownership of the property was shared with a third party, i.e. someone other than the applicant or sponsor. And 3. The funds deposited as cash savings are the net proceeds of the sale, once any mortgage or loan secured on the property has been repaid, and once any taxes and professional fees associated with the sale have been paid. The Home Office suggests the following documents may be submitted to show this. 1. Registration information or documentation from the Land Registry or overseas equivalent. 2. A letter from a solicitor or other relevant professional if the sale took place overseas, instructed in the sale of the property, confirming the sale price and other relevant information. 3. A letter from the lender, a bank or building society, on its headed stationery regarding the repayment of a mortgage or loan secured on a property. 4. Confirmation of payment of taxes or professional fees associated with the sale. And 5. Any other relevant evidence that shows the requirements are met. The third type covers cash savings held for less than 6 months, but come from selling or moving investments within the past 6 months. So this provision covers, among other things, stocks and shares held in an investment account, investments held in a pension drawdown account, gilts or bonds held in an investment account, and funds held in money market or trust funds. Like property sales, this provision can shorten the 6-month period by the time before the funds became cash. For example, if you held a stock portfolio for over 6 months and received the money in a personal bank or savings account 3 months before applying, you'd only technically need to show 3 months of bank or savings statements. In addition to providing bank or savings statements and a cash savings declaration, as previously discussed, you must provide evidence showing that the investments, stocks, shares, bonds or trust funds were in the ownership and under the control of the applicant, sponsor or both jointly for the part of the 6-month period before the date of application, before they were liquidated into cash savings. The value of the investments, stocks, shares, bonds or trust funds at or before the beginning of that 6-month period was at least equivalent to the amount of the cash savings relied on in the application, and that the general cash savings requirements are met. Cash savings can be combined with employment income under Category A and Part 1 of the 2-part Category B test, other non-employment income under Category C, and pension income under Category E. Cash savings cannot be combined with specified limited company income under Category F, or self-employment income as a sole trader, partner, or franchise under Category F. If you'd like more information about the UK spouse and partner visa requirements, or if you'd like help with your application, you can visit our website www.migrate.org.uk.